Hello everybody, Andy here again. Right, so just about a subject I've been thinking about for a while actually. Nowadays with bias, I've called this video no bias, just the truth please. And the reason for that being that is it possible nowadays to actually get an unbiased view of anything, whether it be political events or any sort of events in the wider world? I suppose we're talking about sort of more important events rather than sort of some of the more trivial things that we have to deal with in our lives, celebrities, etc., etc. But there's so much bias now, whether it be in all of the media, whether it be in newspapers, TV channels, magazines, everything. Is it actually possible to get an unbiased view? The trouble with that is that there's nothing wrong with opinions. Everybody has opinions. I have opinions like everybody else has opinions, and everybody has got the right to have their own opinion, and quite rightly so. That's what democracy and everything, freedom of speech and everything like that is all about, and everybody has a right to express their opinion, whether it be on here on YouTube or wherever it may be, in print, blogging, etc., etc. And I express some of my opinions in some things here. I try not to be too controversial and try to sort of present both sides of the picture maybe sometimes, but you might detect a slight bias in some of the things that I say, which is fine. As I say, everyone's got their own opinion, but I'm an individual. I haven't got a great sort of viewership or readership, whatever you might think. Some of these TV channels, newspapers, magazines, etc., etc., as I've said, have got very big viewer bases, subscription bases, readerships, etc., viewers, hundreds, thousands, millions of people, and they are influencing them. I know that some people are quite aware of that. I speak from a UK point of view, but there are certain newspapers in Britain that, you know, if you read that you'll get a certain point of view, and that's fine. Most people, I think, are generally sensible enough to know that if they buy paper number one, newspaper number one, that they'll get a slightly sort of right-wing opinion or something like that. If they buy paper number two, they'll get a more left-wing opinion. And we're lucky that we have, in Britain certainly, we have a fair spread of newspapers, so that you know which one caters for your opinion. But that limits you, doesn't it? If you buy the paper that sort of subscribes to your point of view, you're only getting that point of view. You're not actually getting anything else. You're getting more or less what you want to hear. And I'm sure that suits some people. It doesn't suit me. I'd much rather have the truth. I'd much rather have an unbiased opinion and have something that maybe shows both sides of an argument rather than just one side of an argument, or even in some cases only shows you part of an argument rather than sort of sharing all of it with you so you can make your own opinions. And that's one of the other problems with it. I know that there are TV channels, and I've heard criticisms of certain TV channels in the United States, news channels. I'm not going to name the particular station, but you may well know what it is, and they are supposedly, this is only from my point of view and from what I've heard, supposedly very biased towards a certain viewpoint. And if you know what that viewpoint is, that's great, and you subscribe to it. You also have, I know, in the US, sort of talk shows, talk radio, etc., and a lot of those are supposedly right wing. I've not heard them myself, so I'm only expressing what I've heard from elsewhere. So if I am wrong, please forgive me. But from what I understand, they're quite right wing, and they have quite an influence in sort of political debates and that sort of thing. But I'm sure people aren't that stupid. They do know what they're getting, and I do worry sometimes that people maybe don't realise that they're only hearing one side of an argument, or at least only part of an argument. Personally, from my point of view, in any sort of type of media, the sort of newspapers that I buy, the magazines that I buy, TV channels that I watch, we're lucky enough in Britain to have the BBC, which I know is coming for criticism, and probably quite rightly in sometimes, but they do try and present an unbiased opinion. And to be fair, it cannot be particularly easy to present a completely unbiased opinion, because, as I said, everybody has their opinions, whether it be the editors of the programmes, the TV channels, newspapers, etc. Everyone has their own particular opinions, and it must be very, very hard to actually not put your own feelings into it. But if you do that, if you put your own sort of bias into it, you don't actually tell both sides of the story. And I just wonder if anyone out there has got any examples, because I'd love to know, whether they be internet sites, whether they be TV channels that I can get on satellite TV or whatever, or on the internet, maybe read newspapers on the internet, etc. If anyone knows if there's any completely unbiased opinions, and whether anybody feels the same as me, that nowadays isn't easy to actually find a completely unbiased opinion. As I said, I don't mind if people put an opinion up as long as they then give both sides of the story. I will give you an example. I've done a couple of videos recently on sort of climate change, global warming, which is a subject that I feel quite strongly about, and I've got a certain bias, I suppose, in that, and I don't mind admitting it. But it's not very easy to actually find books or even articles on the internet that are unbiased. I actually saw a story the other day that had come from, I can't remember the exact newspaper, but someone criticising a particular newspaper that had put a story out about the Greenland ice caps melting, and someone else was refuting it, and they quite rightly pointed out that the scaremongering that goes on, the original article didn't actually print all of the information that was available, didn't give all the viewpoints, and therefore was completely biased. And to me, that's lying. We're talking about deception here as well. So there you go. That's so I don't want to go on and on and on about it, but that's just one example. Sort of the global warming. We've all seen the arguments and counter arguments, and some people, unfortunately, they get paid for it, don't they? Some newspaper columnists here in the UK, I'm sure it's the same in other parts of the world as well, are actually paid to put their views out there, and their views are of a certain type, left wing, right wing. They try to be controversial, so they only print in certain things which appeals to their readership, and they're getting paid to do this. Now, to me, that seems a bit wrong. I said I may be in a minority of one here, but I just wonder what your thoughts were. Are you sick of bias in all types of media, from both sides, from all sides? I'm not talking about any particular right wing or left wing. I don't care. What I want is the truth, and that's pure and simple. I want to hear the truth. I want both sides of the argument if necessary, but I want to be able to make my own mind up. I don't want somebody else telling me what I should think or what anybody else should think. We're all grown up people here, whether it be on the internet, on YouTube, in the media. Sometimes they think that we're children, we're all like sheep. We're not. We are human beings with our own minds, and we can make up our own minds and have our own viewpoints. Once we've heard all the arguments and we've weighed them up, then we can make a decision as to which way we want to lean. But that's the problem nowadays, I find, with the media generally. And there's people on YouTube as well who are expressing particular opinions. I've pointed out in other videos, I watch certain people, don't necessarily agree with them, but it's good to get another viewpoint. There's nothing wrong with that. Even if you don't agree with someone, it's good to hear someone else's viewpoint, as long as they put it properly and sensibly, I suppose. But anyway, I'd be very interested in your opinions. Do you think that you can get an unbiased opinion from anywhere nowadays? And if so, please let me know, because I'd like to visit them or read their work or watch their TV channel. Anyway, thanks very much. I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.